everyone. This is a special meeting of the City Council, June 9th, at 5:30 p.m. in the council chambers. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Council President. Councilwoman Banks.
Present.
Councilman Brightwell.
Here.
Councilman Cruz. Councilwoman Haynes.
Present.
Council Pro Tem Hicks.
Here.
Councilwoman Hogue.
Here.
Again, Councilman Brightwell. We have a quorum. Council President Mandelbaum.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. All right, first up is our communications for this evening. We have two individuals who have signed up. The Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language towards any individual when addressing the city council. It's not on the agenda. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent. If a person addressing the council refuses to become silent when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of the peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the city council, and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. The council may not provide responses to public comment during the meeting. If you have provided your contact information when you signed up for public communications, the city will provide a more formal response to you in the near future should it be warranted. The council will also not respond to any public comment until after public comment has been concluded. Our first speaker is Ms. Roberta Kottman. Ms. Kottman?
Oh, you're good. Just use your mic. Yeah.
Can we restart the clock, please?
I asked Mr. Brightwell to speak in regards to me, that I could have an extension of the 3 minutes. And if that is not appropriate now, I would rather wait.
He asked for an additional minute. Is 4 minutes good? Is 4 minutes okay? 4 minutes?
So you give me 4 minutes, quickly. My remarks are prefaced. The 7-member council is the city's legislative and policy-making body. The seal of the city reveals, and Mr. Brightwell, right behind you is the city flag. Would you stand and point out the city flag? And the back of it is right behind you. That's not included in my minutes. Would you hold up the city flag? Look at the city flag more. It's not showing all of the.
Well, it's kind
Yes.
of. Okay, go ahead.
Look at the city flag. Education is first. Commerce is second. And the third is culture. Visionary on the part of our forefathers. And so today, in recognition of that, I am proposing and I'm not saying the proverbial we, that the city council in 1925 proposed the state of the city. The theme of the state of the city is Southfield is an all-American city. Page 153 of Ken Stivers' document. The resolution of this council saying that we will propose a state of the city in all kinds of small forms, no big meetings, but in all kinds of small activities that say that communities that handle difficult issues through the cooperative efforts of citizens, government, businesses, and volunteer organizations. This is an exhibit from the National Civic League. And you had your picture taken. You had your picture taken showing that this is a city, an all-American city. We are living the history. We are recognizing the background and our development and joyously doing that. But now we need to move the city forward. And all of the activities which we do will be moving the city forward.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Harmon Gunther.
Harmon Gunther, 19101 Queen Spruce, Southfield, Michigan. Welcome, Council. Glad to see you. This is a budget meeting, and this is more like a hope list on my part. Last year's budget, the Public Works Department had proposed removing the fence along 12 Mile. This was brought up at a committee of the whole meeting previously also. This is a city fence. Unfortunately, a lot of bushes and stuff have grown through this fence, so I don't know if I know it's the homeowner's responsibility to clear up the greenery. Second, the striping along Webster Avenue from Southfield westward, the traffic lanes are worn out. They have to be replaced, and I learned that to do an adequate job of them, they have to be sunk into the ground, and they would last longer that way. Thirdly, my favorite subject is hopefully there's the budget. This is the ADA ramp on the west side of the police department. So those are my three hopes for this year's budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that ends public communication. And next is our public hearing for our city budget. Ms. Mr. Michaels, did you want to do your presentation first, and then we'll take comments from the audience? Or do you want the audience to ask questions first? So why don't we do your presentation first so they can see what's in there, and hopefully that will answer any questions.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, City Administration. Tonight I am presenting the City Administrator's proposed budget for the fiscal 25-26 year. As always, we start with the city's organizational chart, with residents at the top, our elected officials next, and then our various administrative departments. First, looking at revenues. Property taxes, our biggest source of revenue, represent 49% of general fund revenues and 28% of all funds. Our projected taxable value is just over $3.2 million, which is an increase of approximately $58 million, or just under 2% from the current year. Our millage rate did increase slightly by just under 0.1 mils. We'll look at that in detail a little later on. State shared revenues also comport a large portion of our general fund revenue. Those did increase by about 2% this year. Combined general fund revenues are at approximately $128.4 million, which is a 27.6% increase over the current year. Revenues from all funds are proposed at $284.8 million, again, just under a 30% increase from 24-25. Here's another way of looking at it. You can see that fees, permits, fines, and other make up the largest source at 37%, followed by property taxes at 28%, and then water and sewer charges at 23%. Next, we'll look at the expenditures. At just under $63 million, police and fire services continue to be the largest general fund expenditure and make up approximately 49% of all general fund expenditures, an increase of $2.4 million over the prior year. General government, included in the general fund, is just over $17 million and comprises approximately 13% of the general fund expenditures. In total, general fund expenditures are proposed at $128.4 million, again a 27.6% increase from the current year. Total expenditures for all funds match revenues at just under $285 million. Here's a visual breakdown of that. Public safety is our largest expenditure, making up 27%, followed by water and sewer at 26%, and then roads and facilities at 22%. Remembering that we are a service, we rely heavily on our employees. Our staff are who provide the services to our residents and other stakeholders throughout the city. The proposed budget does include 652 career full-time employees, which is an increase of 25 over the current year. Next, we'll look at our capital projects. Our proposed infrastructure investments total just over $39 million. There are 21 projects spread across local major streets and water and sewer, and we'll look at those in a little more detail. Local streets, there's 2 major projects budgeted. We've got Southampton neighborhood and the Plum Hollow neighborhood for just under $5.8 million. Major Streets has 11 projects, plus our asphalt and concrete repair citywide at just over $11 million. Water and sewer includes a budget of $22.3 million for 8 projects. While we're on water and sewer, we'll look at the water and sewer rates. Our rates are primarily based on the costs that are passed through from our providers, as well as a component for infrastructure replacement. In total, the rate has increased 1.5% over the current year. We show this two different ways. The top portion there shows the MCF, which is how our providers bill us, but then we break that down to the CCF, which is what residents will see on their bills. Again, water and sewer rates increased 1.5%. And then if we look at sanitation, which is based on our new contract, that has increased by $7 per household for the year, or just under 3%. I mentioned earlier that property taxes are the primary source of revenue for the city. So we look at taxable property values and how those have changed. We have still not fully recovered from the Great Recession of 2009. We are getting closer, though. However, this is hampered by Proposal A, and our revenue is hampered by Headley. Looking at the composition of our tax base, we have an almost even split between residential and commercial, although the residential has been growing. It was 35% in 2012, and it's up to 46% projected for the coming year. And now we'll look at how this generates revenue. Looking at our property tax rates, overall, the total levy has increased by just under 0.1 mils. It's primarily an increase in the police and fire pension levy, offset by a very minor decrease in Public Act 59, small decrease in our drains at large, and a small decrease in our road bond levy. Total expected revenues, just over $86.2 million. How does this break down to a taxpayer? So for every dollar that a taxpayer pays, this is how it breaks down from your total tax bill. 36 cents of that dollar is what comes to the city for city operations. 8 cents of it goes to the county, and then 56 cents of it goes to the schools, which includes OCC, Oakland ISD, the state education tax, and in this example, the Southfield School District. Here's what an example of a tax bill might look like. Using a market value of $300,000 for a home with a taxable value of half that, or $150,000, a resident would expect to pay just over $4,000 for city services for the year. This is how it looks graphically. Again, the largest chunk of that is public safety, followed by our general operations, roads, library, and parks and rec. Another significant source of revenue to the city is from the state shared revenue. And while it has been increasing, you can see that it's been increasing very slowly of late. We are anticipating a 2% increase based on the state's projections. Now we'll look at the general fund revenues. Before considering any utilization of fund balance, general fund revenues are expected to increase by just over $5.6 million, or 6% over the prior year. And here's how those break down. Next, we'll look at expenditures. Expenditures are moving in line with budgeted revenues for a total of $128.4 million. This is what that looks like. Again, public safety is the largest expenditure. Support services not usually second in the running. That is where the increase in the use of fund balance will be offsetting. Looking at more detail at the public safety, And these percentages are in relation to the total general fund, not just public safety, which is why they will not add up to 100%. Police makes up 27%, followed by fire at 22%, with the remainder being the court, building engineering, code, and emergency preparedness. Next, we look at fund balance. These are our fund balance numbers as of our last audit, June 30th, 2024. The components here are the non-spendable. That's money that we've already spent for inventory or receivables that we have yet to receive. We have our restricted, in this case restricted for the right-of-way Metro Act funds. We are restricted by statute into how we can utilize those funds. We then have the commitments to specific programs, and those are commitments made by council. We annually do that typically every December. Then we have the assigned, which are typically the encumbrances already approved by council that will carry forward into the next budget year. And then finally, the unassigned. And the unassigned is the fund balance that's left, and that's what council passed a policy on, stating that our unassigned fund balance should be between 15% and 20% of subsequent years' budgeted expenditures, and we've been able to meet that since that policy was passed. Looking at our budgeted use of fund balance across funds, general fund is anticipating utilizing just over $28.6 million. $27.5 million of that is to be transferred to facilities maintenance for the construction of a pool facility. That is the largest chunk there. We are also utilizing $750,000 of that restricted Metro Act fund for pedestrian improvements, right-of-way improvements. Cable television. Cable television's revenue has consistently been declining, so they do have a minor offset on the use of fund balance, and that's what you see here. The library, that use of fund balance of just under $7.2 million, that is for capital projects. There are some significant capital projects going on at the library. Motor pool has built up a significant fund balance over the years. We are slowly whittling away at that. And then local streets, major streets, water and sewer, that use of fund balance is all for capital projects. Finally, council had a couple of retreats where they made priority list, wish lists for items that they wanted to see, and then they were asked to rank them by priority. This is how that breaks down. Would you like me to read through each one? No, yeah, there's a bit here. That is my final slide. I would like to thank all of the city departments for coming together to work on this. This truly is a collaborative effort with every department involved and taking responsibility for how we are spending the residents' dollars. I'd like to thank city administration for their guidance, the mayor for his assistance and guidance, and of course, council. And then my team as well. My deputy director, Hanan Azu, instrumental in putting together the budget. Our budget analyst, Denise Bailey, is just absolutely phenomenal. She works tirelessly on the budget year-round. And of course, our accounting manager, Jeffrey Cush. And with that, we would like to turn it over to the public for questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Michaels, for the presentation. We now have a public hearing for the 2025-2026 City of Southfield budget. Should you have any comments or questions, feel free to come up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record.
Waiting on anyone else, so looks like no one's coming. Evening.
Good evening.
You need my name and address?
Yes, please.
Okay. Brian Miller, 27630 Vermont Street, Southfield.
Okay.
Okay. So I just heard a comment that the average tax bill is around $4,000 for residents currently. I believe I heard that. So seeing as our tax bill is much higher than that, and I've been through the tax board before, and they told me that, well, your bill is high because we have skyscrapers. This comment was made to me and my wife, who are somewhat educated, and to have that comment thrown back in my face, and at that time I was in the mortgage field, I'm like, you guys are ridiculous. How are you going to say that to me? So my wife, being the wonderful woman that she is, held my hand and kept me in check with that comment. But I'm wondering, as I'm coming up to the meeting when we get further in, what is it with property taxes in Southfield? I don't know if you heard this before, and why isn't there a regressive tax for people who've lived in the city for at least 5 years owning property and have made improvements to their home? Why isn't there some type of rebate system or retroactive credit? That would be my comment.
Okay.
I'm dead.
Thank you.
All right.
Is there anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Gabby Grossbart, 25428 Woodvilla Place, Southfield. I don't see the courthouse. Is that under fire and police? Because I just didn't see it anywhere. I certainly know that it could use a lot of improvements. The steps aren't accessible. The escalators don't work half the time. The elevator is small. I don't see it on the wish list, so I just figured I'd put that out there. Thank you, Council.
All right. Seeing no one else, the public hearing is closed. We did have two comments. I'll respond to the easier one first, which was the second speaker. So the court steps, actually it's on this page, it's up on the slide. We are looking at proposals to fix the court steps, and there is work being done. Maybe Mr. Zorn can speak to it better about what we're doing inside the court with the escalators. I know they're doing some work on those.
On the escalators, we've looked at removing them, similar to what we did in the police department. The challenges of physically doing that, the prices came in far much more than we had anticipated. We are in the process of simply having the escalator repaired at this point. It is an ongoing, very heavy expense in maintaining an escalator system, far more than an elevator, but it's a resource. We have the resources to deal with a simple repair. Ideally, though, we would like to remove it and replace it with a set of stairs. And because of the architecture and that's a very challenged proposition, and the prices were outrageous. We also, I think we bid that out twice or three times, and we've, I think one point we had no bids at all.
Okay, thank you. I know the steps, I think, are currently out for bid as well.
And those two had been bid out before with very high prices and trying to get something that just works. Part of it is getting people to bid on work. There's just not enough competition for some of this stuff right now. We face a very serious shortage of contractors to do construction work in this state.
Thank you. And then also to Mr. Gunther, who spoke during public communication, we did put aside some money for fencing along major streets. So we are looking at that. The first speaker, I don't know if Austin or Justin is a better suited to speak to a specific taxable value. Justin, do you want to take a stab at it? This is our city assessor. Do you need a specific slide that would be helpful?
I guess, what question?
So
Michigan is an ad valorem tax state.
Right, so the question was, there was the one slide that showed what, as an example of a taxable value and what the taxes would be in someone's home.
Yeah.
And I guess the gentleman that spoke has lived in his home for a number of years, but his taxes keep skyrocketing, and he said he came to the Board of Review and was told that his taxes are high because of skyscrapers.
Well, it's not because of the skyscrapers. The taxes can vary wildly based on when you bought your property. When the market tanked back in 2009, a lot of people were capped at that value when it turned around in 2015. So if you've owned your home for a long time, you're going to have a very low rate of tax. And then as the markets come back up from that, from 2016, the taxes that you're going to pay are stepped up from where they used to be. So if you've bought within the last 5 to 10 years, you're going to have a much higher rate of tax each year, where right now it's about 3% of your home's value, total value. Is what I can
Okay.
say for that.
Mr. President, the tax rate is uniform for all residents. The millage assessed, it's in the evaluation that makes the difference. Some of us have capped value because of Proposal A passed in 1994. A house, someone buying a $600,000 house is going to have a double the tax bill you see in front of you. But you can have two identical homes, one that was long-term been occupied, most likely before the market crash in 08, 09, and a new owner comes in and buys it, they'll pay 2-3 times the tax rate, because that's what we call the pop-up tax. And it's something for Southfield as a city, I think we need to be thinking more equitable, but this is becoming a problem across the state. We never anticipated a market decline that happened during the Great Recession. That market decline has cost us over $1 billion in taxable assessment. And I've said this, that means our Parks and Rec department since 2010 has had about 21 million less to work with. The library's number is almost $40 million less to work with. But it's that on capping. For us in this room, next year we get to vote whether or not we have a constitutional convention in the state. If the legislature can't fix this mess with our failed tax policy, then maybe it's time we send it back to a constitution convention and get something that's more equitable. But two people living in the same home, identical, one could be paying 3-4 times the amount. And that's very difficult for people to understand. It also impairs mobility. Anytime you impair mobility, people are staying in their houses longer. That's driving the prices up. Instead of maybe a senior couple moving into something, a ranch style that meets their needs, they're not moving because they move into that new ranch, the taxes will be 3-4 times what they were paying on the colonial. So, you know, some fun things for us to work on.
Okay. Thank you. And Justin, if you don't mind, if the gentleman who spoke has some additional questions, if you could, after our meeting, meet him in the hallway and try to help him out with an explanation. Or as Mr. Zorn mentioned, every home has a different situation.
Yeah,
So.
Michigan's an ad valorem state, so the taxes are based on the value, no matter what kind of property composition there is in the city. So it's going to be based solely on that value of the property, up to 50% of the property value. And then following the year after your purchase, you're capped from there on out. And you're only going to go up by the rate of inflation with a 5% cap. So,
Okay.
that's what I can say. But I'll meet him out there.
Thank you. All right. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Michaels or any specific items on the agenda, on the budget? Mr. Brightwell?
Austin, and I want to compliment you and your staff on the production of this report. I've been here for 10 years, and this presentation has gotten better and better every year. And one of the things in finance, they have, and I've been in it for about 20 years, they are concerned about the presentation of financial data. And I just want to compliment you and your staff. This has gotten better and better every year, And tonight is, and I guess I have tracked on it. I probably complimented you more than you need to be complimented. But it is, I want to thank you very much, you and your staff, for pulling this together. It makes it very simple for the, for the layman to follow it. I remember when I first got here, we were just getting black and white pages, so.
Thank you, sir. I will definitely pass that along to my team.
Okay, dude. Well, let me just ask one other question, and this might be more for Mr. Zorn, but when is projected that we will get back to our revenue status to 2008? When is it projected?
So that is probably in the early 2030s. It's a little sooner than we initially had anticipated. I think originally we were pushing for like 2035, 2036, but it looks like it's going to happen a little earlier than that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
The next step to that question should be, though, is what would we, had we continued at that level, what might we have grown to? And that growth would have lowered our millage rate. We would have rolled that back because of Headley. I mean, that's where this is just so, it's double-sided. I mean, that growth would have rolled our millage rate back. And had we continued to have growth, had we been at the 2010, in December of 2010 was our highest assessment, had that growth continued, our millage rate would have rolled back. And
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Hicks?
Thank you, sir. Austin, I echo the sentiment from Dan, thanking your team for all the hard work and putting up with all my questions. More importantly, for acknowledging and making modifications as necessary. The only ask that I would have, excuse me, as we plan for next year's budget, I'm a data person and a technologist. So some of the tools or modules that you may not have, maybe we need to explore and propose how do we continually improve the tools you utilize to help you prepare this work product. So if you could just look at various modules that we don't have, things that will be value added, we try to factor that into the budget.
Absolutely. We are always looking for ways to improve.
Okay. I just want to also, for those that are watching this, that have been in the audience, saw the presentation or will see it later on, this is a reflection of what the city values, what our aspirations are. You made a comment that we did set aside some money for our city pool, and we hope to hear more about that at our next committee of a whole shortly after this. But this budget ensures that we maintain our high standards of services, police, fire, planning, building, and that those, especially public safety, is well supported to help keep us safe. As I mentioned, one of the highlights I think that the council can agree is we've actually allocated money for a year-round aquatic center. This is an investment in more than just a facility. We're enhancing the quality of life for residents, providing a space for recreation, health, and engagement throughout the year, not just the 10 weeks out of the year that we had with our old pool. But none of this would be possible without the hard work of our fiscal services department, all the other departments that chimed in, that really, after many of our questions, tried to cut where they could, especially in the contractual professional area. But we definitely appreciate it. Our city administrator helped guide through the process. Your efforts, sir, are greatly appreciated, and I think that together, between the city staff and the council, it shows our commitment to ensure that the city continues to thrive and serve its residents effectively. So thank you to the city staff, thank you to the council. This was probably one of the more engaging budget meetings, not this meeting in particular, but all the meetings that led up to this that I've been involved in for a while. So I do appreciate the long hours the council put in, the long hours that the fiscal services department spent, and the city staff, especially those that went last for those evenings. But this really is showing residents that we are taking care of things, we're moving forward. We've heard everyone with this aquatic center, we've earmarked the money, we're there. The council wish list, for the council members who have gone through, who have looked at this list after it's been graded, many projects have money allocated, some still have to be worked out and tweaked, but they're not high level, they're not high budget items. But we do have it included. We wanted it added into the budget presentation because we want you to understand that, we did hear what the council wishes are for what we feel the residents need or what we feel would help enhance the city. So thank you for that. Thank you to the council for taking part in that process. If there's no other questions,
Are you looking for a motion?
If there is a motion, I will entertain a motion if that's the goal. But I don't know if there's any other questions that any council member has that they would like answered.
Mr.
Councilman
Chairman,
Binks?
I move that the fiscal year budget 25-26 for the 25-26 year be approved as presented.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Binks, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve the 25-26 City of Southfield budget. Any further questions?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I did have a question. I thought that there were some who expressed an interest to speak more about the budget, and I was hoping we could postpone this decision until a special meeting next week so that we could talk about those items.
We do have that option. If that is the pleasure of council, but I don't know. So
Can I offer
So here's,
an
so
amended motion?
we do have more discussion, the two items after this meeting in the committee of a whole. But we can't approve the budget at a committee of a whole. We do have to have a special meeting, which would have to be called sometime next week. Mr. Hicks, you had a comment? Or-
Yeah. So I would say respectfully, maybe we should go ahead and consider the motion that's on the floor, because we as a council have the authority to amend the budget also.
Correct.
So if we can proceed, and if there's, I do think another meeting will be value added, just to make sure that we have all of our questions asked and addressed and have some, good discussion. But just to make sure that we align with the charter, we can adopt it but amend it if necessary. Just a thought.
Mr. Mayor?
I heard the concerns last week regarding the aquatic center. And I think the important thing is that the money has been set aside. When the money is spent, it'll be because you've received a design and you will have the authority to pay those bills. So, and as Councilman Hicks has said, it can be amended. I will hope that the council will approve this budget tonight, knowing that you have latitude in the future and that the issues that we've all dealt with replacing the municipal pool will be ironed out in the weeks ahead. Thank you.
So we do have a motion on the floor. The motion was made by Councilwoman Binks, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve the 25-26 City of Southfield budget. And any other questions? Yes, sir. Public comment is completed, yes. Are there any other questions or? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, council. We appreciate it. And we will hear more detail at our next meeting. All right, there being no other business for this meeting is adjourned.